Here we are on page 19 with the logarithm monster. To make sure you understand what logarithms are, how they work, and be able to do some of them in your head, this monster test can be taken over and over and over again until you get it quickly. To help you the first few times, this side over here gives some very common low-level exponential values that should be able to help you do this. So let's go ahead. Log base 64 of 4. So 64 to what power equals 4? If we look over here, we have 4 to the third power 64, so 64 to the 1/3 power equals 4. Log base 8 of 32. Well, that doesn't give us a very specific 8 to what power gives us 32, but we know that 2 to the third power is 8 and 2 to the fifth power is 32. So if you took 8 and cube rooted it, you'd get 2, and then fifth power will give you 32. Good. Log base 128 of 1, so 128 to the 0 power will equal 1. 5 to what power equals 625? And here it is right here, 5 to the 4th. So it's the number 4. Log base 36 of 6, you have to square root it. That will be a 1/2. Log base 13 of 169, we see that in the squares. 13 squared is 169, so that's a 2. 32 to what power equals 1/16. Now we're getting a fraction, so that means we have a negative exponent over here. We're going to fifth root 32. That's right here, fifth root 32 to get down to 2, and then fourth power to get to 16, and the negative will put it on the bottom. 81 to what power equals 9? You would have to square root that. 128 and 8. Those are both powers of 2, so we're going to seventh root it to get down to 2, cube it to get 8, and negative will put it on the bottom. 128 to what power equals 1/4? Same type of thing. We'll seventh root it to get down to 2. Seventh root of 128 is 2. Squared is 4. And the negative exponent will ensure we get a fraction. 7 to what power equals 1 over 343? Well, 7 to the third equals 343. So it's 3, but it's a negative 3, which will make it a fraction. Next column. 144 to what power equals 12? Well, that's a square root, so we better 1/2 power it. 10 to what power equals 100? 2. 20 to what power equals 400? That's 2. 1/400th would be a negative 2. 25 squared right over here is 625, so that's a 2. 2 to what power equals 1/8? 3, but it's negative. 3 to what power equals 27? That's 3 cubed. 64 to what power equals 4? That's the same one that's up here, 1/3, because you are cube rooting it. We use the 4 to the third power equals 64 right there. 5 to the third equals 125 with a negative on there. 8 to what power is 64? 2, but we have a fraction. 1,000, log base 1,000 of 100. Well, you've got to cube root that to get all the way down to 10 and square it to get to 100. And log base 100 of 1, that again is the exponent 0. All right, next column. Log base 8 of 512, that's right here. 8 cubed is 512, so that is going to be 3. Here, 9 to the third power is 729, so that's 3. Negative 3 will make it a fraction. 2 to the fourth power is 16. 3 to the fourth power will be 81. Negative will make it 1/81st. 5 squared is 25. 2 to the 0 power is 1. 2 to the fifth power will be 32. Negative fifth power will make sure we get a fraction. 3 to the fifth power is 243. 2 to the sixth power is 64. 2 to the seventh power is 128. 8 to the what power is 4? They're not exact powers of each other. We have to go down, cube root it to get down to 2, and then 2 squared is 4. 2 to what power is 256? Wow, 2 to the 8th power. So this is going to be a negative 8 there. Log 11 of 1, that's a 0. Log base 8 of 2, we have to cube root it. That's the exponent that says cube root. 128, we have to seventh root it to get down to 2, and then 8th power it to get up to 256. Log base 27 of 3, that's a cube root. Log base 8 of 128, we would have to cube root to get down to 2, and then 7th power to get up to 128. Log base 3 of 9, that's just 2, we square 3. 125, we cube root it to get down to 5. fourth power it to get up to 625, and then negative will make it a fraction. 27 and 243, they're both powers of 3, so we have to cube root to get down to 3, and fifth power to get up to 243. 11 to 121 is squared, and it's negative. Negative exponents make fractions. 32 to 8, we have to fifth root to get down to 2, and then cube it. And the next one, 64 and 16, they're both powers of 4. They're also both powers of 2. Let's do it with 2 first. So we would have to sixth root it to get down to 2 and then fourth power it, which is the same as cube rooting to get down to 4 and squaring it. Isn't that cool? We could do it with both 2's or 4's and get the same exponent to come out for that logarithm. All right, here we've got, again, we can do 64 to 256. We could do it on powers of 2, so we would sixth root and 8th power, negative 8 sixths, or we could do negative 4 thirds, and its third root of 64 is 4, and fourth power of 4 is 256. Negative puts it on the bottom. So yeah, those two fractions are equivalent. Okay, so log base 25 of 125, they are both powers of 5, so we would have to square root and then to the third power. Log base 9 of 1, that's exponent of 0. Log base 216 of 36, we would have to cube root to get down to 6 and then square to get up to 36. Log base 81 of 27, they are both powers of 3, so we'd have to fourth root and then third power. 512, we'd have to cube root it and then second power it, square it, and then put it on the bottom. So 512 cube root will give us 8, squared will give us 64, negative will make 1/64. So log base 729 of 81. So we will, these are both powers of 9, so we're going to cube root it and then square it. Log base 2 of 1/4, well, we're going to square it on the bottom. Log base 16 of 8, so we have to fourth root that and then cube it. Good. Log base 27 of 81, they're both powers of 3, so we'd have to take 27 and cube root it to get down to 3, and then fourth power it to get up to 81. And finally, the last column, log base 7 of 49, it's 7 squared is 49. 6 to the third power is 216. 32 isn't a power of 4, but they're both powers of 2, so we'd have to square root to get it down to 2, and then fifth power to get it up to 32, and a negative ensures that it's 1/32. Log base 16 of 1 is 0. 32, they're both powers of 2 again, so we'd have to fifth root it, and then seventh power it. Log base 16 of 128, they are both powers of 2. We would have to fourth root it to get it down to 2, and then seventh power it. Log base 4 of 256, 256 is a power of 4. It's just 4 to the fourth power. Log 128 of 32, we have to seventh root it to get it down to 2, and then fifth power it to get it up to 32. Log 343 of 49, we're going to cube root it to get it down to 7. That's this one right here. And then square it to get it up to 49. Log base 9 of 27, we're going to square root it to get down to 3. And then cube it to get up to 27. And then the last one, they're both powers. 16 is a power of 4. So 4 squared. Yeah, look at that. Squared and negative. Notice we could have also seen them as a power of 2, where we square rooted it and then fourth powered it and then made it negative. Negative 4 over 2 is the same as negative 2. Good.